We're back with a migrant smuggling crackdown in an unusual place. Immigration agents say they found 73 migrants, including 13 children, in smugglers' stash houses in one of Washington, D.C.'s wealthiest areas. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has been covering this story and joins us with more. Julia, good morning. So what kinds of migrant stash houses are typically, or these kinds, I should say, are typically closer to the southern border? What can you tell us about this operation that authorities found in Washington?
That's right, Joe. So we understand that ICE authorities conducted 6 search warrants in residential homes on Wednesday, and they found 73 migrants, 60 adults, 13 children across those stash houses. It's not exactly clear where. I'm trying to get the address, but we should point out Northwest D.C., not only is it the most affluent quadrant of D.C., it also includes the White House. It includes, neighborhoods where lots of officials live. This is an area, it's one of the largest areas of D.C., so it could definitely include some less affluent areas, but it's a place where people would walk by, everyday tourists would walk by and not know something like that was going on there. What's also surprising is that it's so far in from the border. Typically, migrants are hidden in stash houses as they're trying to be moved without detection to their final destination. Perhaps they're going to live with a relative, and smugglers control them along those routes. We see them often in Houston. We see them closer to the border. But to see them this far in means that there could be a deeper network that smugglers are now running to be able to take migrants all the way to their final destinations without being detected. And we should point out this is not an easy route for those migrants. Stash houses often are places where migrants are cramped without running water, electricity, air conditioning, and in these summer months, it can be brutal. We recently saw smugglers leave many migrants. In fact, 53 died in a tractor trailer on the side of the highway in San Antonio. These migrants are really at the hands of smugglers, and we understand that some will be prosecuted as a result of this operation.
I mean, do we know anything about the conditions that they were being kept in, and then where does the investigation go from here?
Yeah, so we don't know exactly how the conditions were for these people. And I should point out it's 73 people across 6 houses that were searched, but it's unclear how many were in one house. In fact, in some cases, you could find as many as 50 or more, perhaps all 73, in one house. So still trying to get details on that. We do know, I can report that there is a grand jury involved in this in D.C. that's going to hear this case as prosecutors try to bring charges in this case. And it was part of a large sweep. So clearly, ICE is really cracking down on stash houses this far into the United States.
And I want to ask you about more of your reporting here, Julia. You've obtained internal data materials that show the number of migrants at the border is actually dropping. What more can you tell us about that? Why is that?
So we know it's dropping from the record high that we saw in May. It continued to decline in June, and now we're seeing that July should be even lower than it was in June. Still very high, but it's looking like July 2022 will be lower than July 2021, which is surprising because almost every month up until May had been setting new records this year. But one of those reasons, we understand DHS is providing briefing materials to the White House to say they are now interdicting more smugglers in Central America. In fact, they're working with other countries in Central and Latin America to provide intelligence to their law enforcement to arrest smugglers there. They estimate that in 1 week in June, they were able to stop as many as 1,300 migrants coming because they arrested 240 smugglers. They're basing their estimate based on the ratio of how many migrants a smuggler usually brings to the United States. So often, of course, if your smuggler could be arrested, you could go with another one. But they estimate that they are actually at least slowing down many migrants who would be on their way here, and in some cases stopping that flow. And I've spoken to some people about that, some migration policy advocates who say, look, we always want to be careful when the United States is meddling in the law enforcement and the dealings of another government. But by and large, people do want to crack down on smugglers because these are people who prey on people, take a lot of money from them, and put them in very terrible conditions as they make their journey to the United States.
Julia Ainsley, as always, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.